Orlando.
That's the start of the pod right there.
Welcome to Court Captains, a volleyball podcast.
Where we talk all things Pro Volleyball Federation. I'm Kelly.
I'm Nikki.
I'm Ian.
And today we're talking Mojo gets a win and Columbus enters the chat.
Ooh.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Court Captains Pod. And I think at the top we're gonna talk about a few pieces of news in the volleyball world.
Even though we are a podcast about all things Pro Volleyball Federation, and this is not Pro Volleyball Federation related, but
No, it's an NCAA rule change. Do we want to read the change?
I would love to. Ian, do you know about this?
No.
Are you going to read it, Kel?
What is the change?
I will pull it up. All right. So in a press release from the NCAA, it reads, the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel approved allowing women's volleyball players to contact the ball more than once with any part of the body in a single attempt on a team's second contact when the ball is played to a teammate. However, if the ball is played over the net in this type of scenario, it would be ruled a fault and the team would lose the point.
It does say women's only, which is so much fun for us because men's volleyball, the set is just a lift every time anyway. So, so Ian, the second contact or the second,
mean?
It means it's the set, right?
Yeah.
Very often the second touch out of 3 is the setter. And the idea in setting is that you want that set to be nectar. You want it to be a floater. You want it to be super sweet, super soft. That means it doesn't spin around. If the ball spins after it comes out of the setter's hands, that could be considered a double contact. What creates the spin is the idea that the ball hits different parts of the hand, not all at the simultaneous exact time.
Sure.
My feelings about this, as a setter, all I was taught for all of my life as a setter was how to get that perfect touch, that perfect floater where the ball doesn't spin at all. Most control in where you want to put the ball locationally and height-wise. And it's also helpful in keeping yourself neutral for as long as possible so that the other side doesn't know where you're going to set. Those things are byproducts of having a perfect set that doesn't spin. So naturally, I think a lot of setters are concerned about this, sad about this. I've seen a lot of TikToks. What was it all for, you know?
But here's the thing. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. All of those things are still necessary. Like you still need to place the ball in the correct spot. You still need to be sneaky. You still need to have a good set for someone to be able to hit. It's like, I think there's a lot of discussion of like, oh, it will just bring down the quality of play. And I don't see that happening in this generation. We'll see if the rule sticks. It could promote some bad activities. But knowing the NCAA, they've played around with rules in the past. I think my entire collegiate career, you could touch the bottom of the net. You can no longer do that.
Just not the top tape. That was
correct
rule for a little
yes.
while. And they took that back after a couple years.
Yeah.
But I think that what this rule comes down to, you're right, Kelly, that like all of the things that a clean set affords you, those things are still required of a setter. So ostensibly, a perfect set will still be required of a setter.
Mm-hmm.
What I think this rule is all about and why they changed it is to remove subjectivity from the refs.
Yes. Yeah.
Perception
it's all to do with the ref
of what a double is.
Yeah.
Because it's a let the girls play rule.
Yeah.
It's a let the play continue rule.
Yeah.
Because there are certain refs that have higher standards for what a double is. Some let it spin, but if it seems like it came off the hands clean, then that's fine. Some say any amount of spin past, I think, 1.5 or 2 rotations would be a double no matter what. Refs have all different. Some refs just change their standard based on the setter. So if that setter only lets it spin 2 times a match, he'll just call it for that.
Which is bullshit.
As opposed to this other setter who it spins almost every time they touch it. Oh, I'm just going to call her on the really bad ones, right? Yeah. So it's putting everybody on the same standard of we're going to let everyone keep playing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Ian?
Yeah, it does. I also get like if they're just wanting the game to flow more.
Doubles are the most frustrating. Like it is the most subjective call, I think, right? It's the only subjective call.
I think that there's a lot of variation in the way that refs call it. Again, if you are going to send it over the net on 2, it can't be a double. It is only if you are setting up one of your teammates.
But like we said, this is not a PVF rule. But
yep,
we had to talk about it.
All right, switching gears back to PVF officially. I did want to talk about some gossip. I'm hearing gossip, okay? I mentioned I'm in the chat. And the chat has brought forth to me some interesting tidbits.
The chat has delivered.
It's not just to me, but you know.
Yeah, there's stuff in there.
What I can say is that I'm hearing that there's some conflict between PVF and Love B.
Yeah.
Love. I'll call it Love, but like it's Love B, right?
Love.
The league/pro opportunity that we talked about in episode 1 that's coming down the pipeline starting in November, that right now seems to not have rosters listed, but does have some heavy hitters, literally and figuratively, from the U.S. Olympic team who have opted in. And in my opinion, their website looks like a Lululemon ad, but no schedules yet.
Very salmon. I'll say that. That's very salmon.
It's a pretty salmon website. It also, like, we're seeing things in the news. We're seeing that they have a ton of money from investors. Allegedly, they have a media deal. I don't know. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere yet. But it seems like LOVB is locking players into exclusive contracts so that they cannot play PVF or Athletes Unlimited. This is being billed, we think, as a bit of a more like an exhibition situation. So there are big matches in these cities, but it's more like, you know, one a week. It's not like an NBA style of you traveling all around and playing all these teams. It seems to be fewer matches, and all this money is sitting at the top. And so they're
going to be playing around the same time as PVF next year.
Right. It starts a little earlier, but then I think there will be some conflicting schedules. Allegedly, the salaries that they're giving their players are considerable. The thing is, they don't have teams yet.
Well, they have the names of the teams. They don't have
names and cities, but no rosters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We know also that they're offering big amounts of money to current PVF players to try to steal them.
Whoa.
Nice.
I mean, I say we know. That's what the gossip is.
I think only 2 of the cities are PVF cities.
Oh, in like the conflicting.
Yeah, I think it's Omaha and Atlanta have LOVBA teams and the PVF squads. Everywhere else is a different city, different market, I guess, which is interesting.
Yeah. And again, at some point we are going to have to, I really hope, consolidate these efforts. At first I thought maybe everyone will play nice. There's a lot of good volleyball athletes in this country. Maybe everyone will play nice and there'll be really high level in both of these leagues and we'll be fine. But they're not playing nice. So
yeah.
I mean, it'll be, I assume, be good for a handful of players that can make a little bit more money just by playing the leagues off each other for a little while. But
of course,
it's economics. We're spreading out the players. We're spreading out the fans. I mean,
sure.
There's nothing to say that people can't watch both leagues, but we're not going to make 2 podcasts about 2 different leagues. Okay, there's already so many games in a week.
We'll see what it ends up being.
Yeah.
What Love ends up being. It seems like a different model, and I think what I'm finding is that I'm more and more hoping that at some point these merge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was our, chatter at the top. And next, we're into some match by match analysis. Wednesday, Omaha at Columbus. Columbus's first home game. They had good turnout.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving Omaha a run for their money.
All right. So, Columbus's home opener. And they started their massive week off well. They played 3 times. They won 3 times. And they started with this game against Omaha. They won in 4 sets. The first set, 25-12.
Whoa.
So that's pretty good. Continued that 25-21 in the second set, lost the third 23-25, and then took the final one in another 2-point set, 25-23.
I don't think anyone has beat the Supernovas quite like that. in a set,
No.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Some numbers out of that first set. Omaha
Yeah,
finished
tell me.
with a 0 hitting percentage.
In that
It
set.
was 3 zeros in that first set.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
So yeah, it wasn't great.
My big observation from that first set is that they went after Bethania. They clearly had a game plan going in.
I think it was 7-2 to start for the Fury, and then the Supernovas got it back to 11-9, and then the Fury had a 12-1 run to
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
take control
Yeah.
of that set.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reagan Cooper started her big week. She had more kills than
Mhm.
all of Omaha in the first set.
I felt like this match was a masterclass in defense.
Mhm.
Rye Santos, the Columbus setter,
Yeah.
was everywhere. And on Columbus, at least, 5 people had double-digit digs,
Mhm.
which is a
Amazing.
tough thing to say. Double-digit digs.
Double-digit digs.
And that's, I think, one way to analyze how the defense is working. You look at total team digs. Columbus had 77. Omaha had 64. That doesn't seem like a very big difference. But when you look at players and you see everybody's getting some on Columbus's side, that means there's no weak defensive players on the court,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which tells us what is happening in the other side's offensive mind, which is like, I'm just worn the fuck down. You know, like I'm trying and trying. And no matter where I go on the court, someone's picking me up.
I know you had told me, because I watched this game later, and you had told me that she had that many digs. And I'm like, oh, it is a common strategy where you attack right back so that your setter is out of play or messes up the offense. But I didn't really seem like that was the strategy. So I was like, I was surprised by how many.
Maybe
digs.
it was a lot of tips that
Yeah,
Rye
yeah.
was picking up. But the other part was there were so many times when we've talked about better the ball before, and you can have a dig that's like not great. The setter can't get there. You're sort of out of system. And I noticed over and over, Columbus turned out of system sets. So not from the setter, either from the libero or from somebody else. A lot of hitters, Reagan Cooper in particular, turned out of system sets into kills. Not just strong offensive, put it back on the other side. Certainly not free balls. They turned them into kills from really tough angles. I don't know if that means Omaha's blocking wasn't lining up properly or if they were just like really trained that last week. But I haven't seen any team hit out of system that well.
It was the fewest. I think they said in the broadcast, Omaha had 6 blocks, and that was their lowest total of the season. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we talked about Reagan Cooper. She finished with 22 kills. And those 11 digs, Asia O'Neal had 15 kills, hitting 520.
Yeah, she was
520. Half the
Amazing.
time you give her the ball, she puts it away.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
I had one question about, like, if Reagan Cooper is beating the shit out of you, what are your options to try and stop that from happening?
You serve her deep. When she's front row, I think that's kind of all you can do. You serve her deep so that she has to move backwards so that she's farther away from taking her approach, from where she needs to go to take her approach.
Yeah.
That's sort of all you can do.
Well, and I mean, it's not like it helps that much because, again, like Asia O'Neal was playing in this game, so.
But you can see in this game, they were doing that to Bethania, and it was working.
And it was working against Bethania.
Yeah.
I will say, Columbus is doing something interesting with their serve receive, at least in this match, and I think the next, where, Kelly, you said like the 2 outsides and the libero are the ones who are going to be passing most often. For Columbus, those are their 3 passers. The right side never passes.
Yep.
And
you can see it on the stat sheet.
You can see it on the stats. No one has any other serve receive attempts. And that's a little unique for this league. I'm seeing that right sides get looks in some to pass in some rotations. What's interesting, I've played on teams where it's like L1, L2, and libero. Left side 1, left side 2, and libero are the only 3 passers. And it forces these 3 people to get so good at passing together because you don't have like a lot of combinations to worry about. Like pretty much always liberos in the middle, and then these outsides are either going to be on one side or the other. They passed great.
Yeah.
They passed great all week. I just found that to be sort of an interesting strategic. It means that everyone's going to get tired, you know, and but it also means you're relying on the same teammates and you're building that trust with each other.
One other shout out before we move on. Allison Mayfield came in for Bethania de la Cruz, I think in the middle of the second set. She had 11 kills off the bench. I think she had like 260, 270, so that was pretty good.
Yeah. Wow.
She played really
Awesome.
well.
Yeah.
I will say that the Supernovas coach made a lot of choices in the second set and then right before the third. Sydney Hilly, the setter, was replaced by Natalia Valentin. And then Natalia played the rest of the week, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Sydney came back in. De La Cruz subbed out, Allison Mayfield in. That seemed like the right choice at that time. And like you said, she played great. Kendall White didn't play libero the entire match. Gabby Thompson came in. I was impressed by her. She played at Kentucky. And then Kristina Vuchkova played instead of Tori Dixon for sets 3 and 4.
And then she stayed for the next match that they played.
And she stayed in the next match, but I think instead of Danielle Hart and Tori Dixon played the next games. Paige Briggs served a little bit. I just feel like obviously the difference in the scores between the first 2 sets and the third and fourth, that felt like that coach figured out the matchups a little bit better.
Yeah.
But this gives them opportunities now, like in practice, to run different combinations of the A team, you know? All right. Orlando at Vegas from Thursday.
Orlando, followed up their last win against Vegas in 4 sets with another 4-set win against Vegas. Vegas started their rough week in which they ended up going 0-3. Orlando won the first set 25-23, the second 25-18. Then Vegas took the third set 20-25, and then the final set was really close. Orlando won it 30-28. I think this is a theme with Vegas this week is they lost games, honestly felt a lot closer than they wound up seeming on the score sheet. But a lot of extra point sets too. We had our 30-28 one in this one. So
there's a few matches this week that were a little confusing from the stats sheet because Orlando passed better, 57% positive, 28% perfect compared to Vegas, 49-22. So just a little better. Orlando hit a little better, 280 versus 220. And Orlando also had both outsides and a middle consistently producing. So that seems to be always the story with Orlando. Jill and Adora get some shit done. Jill had 21 kills, hit 320. Adora had 18 kills, hit 300. Kaz Brown, 11 kills, hit 420. So that consistency of those 3 hitters plus Azani Taylor came in on the right side this week. She had 9 kills, hit 160, didn't have a bad match. And Vegas, on the other hand, really only had Molly McCage producing 11 kills, 320. That's not true. Kat Bell played outside and hit 370, and I was impressed by Kat. Saskia Hippie didn't start for Vegas, but then she came in, and Hannah Maddox wasn't really firing on all cylinders. Sometimes the vibes are off.
Non-game wise, they announced Jill Gillen as the undersized but extremely talented Jill, which is, I think, her legal name now.
Yeah.
I mean, the middles were really fun to watch, but it felt like if Molly McCage wasn't getting a kill for them, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Friday, Grand Rapids at San Diego for their first home match.
Huge upset.
7-1.
Fire under them by calling them the Jets.
They didn't like that
take
insult.
kindly to that. Yeah, they didn't take kindly to it. And they took the game in 4 sets, beginning with the most ridiculous set of the season so far. I think 70 points played. They won 36-34 in the first set. They lost 25-27 in the second.
Oh my God.
And then they won 25-23 in both the third and the fourth. So
every single set was a 2-point game.
It was
it was truly so exciting.
Yeah.
It was
exhausting.
I was screeching. I was
Sweating.
screeching and sweating on a Friday night. It was so much fun. Truly nutso scores. The energy was crazy. Mojo had a pretty good turnout in San Diego. I felt like the broadcast was weirdly dark. The photos I saw, the arena was not that dark, but it looked like they were in a spotlight.
It had a weird tinge to it.
I will say, really and truly, all hail Temi.
Yeah,
Temi
she was ridiculous.
She finished 25 kills, 270. That was great. The middles were so efficient.
Yep.
Ronica hit 400. Hannah Tapp hit 450. I would like to see that from Hannah Tapp. I felt like she wasn't connecting with Tom in prior matches. I feel like they figured some things out.
So Nikki, you and I texted about this, that I observed in the first set, it seemed so slow. It seemed
Yes.
like they were running their middles so slowly. But if you go back and watch some of Mojo's first matches, TomCom is running them so fast that it's like they're hitting it on the way while the ball is on the way out of her hands, as opposed to maybe at the peak of the set or even as the set comes down from its peak. And I think that they had to fix that. Like I think maybe TomCom wants to run them faster, but I think these middles, that's not how they vibe. It wasn't working, and they fixed it, and it worked.
That's a really good point.
Even though it looks so slow.
Yeah, and TomCom is probably like, "Oh my God, get over here."
Yeah.
What do you get over here?
But it worked.
But it's working. You have to sometimes
give them some
time.
The
quarterback sometimes needs to see how fast they're running, you know?
Yeah.
I liked Morgan Lewis. I think on right side, I was surprised that she didn't play more. They swapped her for Valeria Papa after the second. Yeah, I was a little surprised. She had 8 kills, hit 350. I would love to see more of her.
We talked about Temmie's 25 kills. She also had 5 blocks and 10 digs to go with that. So
beautiful. A beautiful day.
It was an all-around day. Yeah.
I will say about the Valeria playing for Morgan Lewis, it looked like they needed serve receive back there.
Yes. I think they needed a passer back there. I think you're right.
Yeah. Morgan Lewis, not that she was playing bad, but I think that's what that decision was all about.
Yep, totally. I think Mojo really shut down Claire Chaussee. And same thing with Amelia, produced kills but wasn't as efficient. Simone played really well, but Rapids did not block to end the point as much. I really feel like, though, Grand Rapids looked different in San Diego. They seemed maybe not as explosive, a little slower than normal. And I was met with this feeling of like, are y'all jet lagged?
That's a hard travel day.
East Coast to West Coast timing.
Yeah. I wonder how much time they give themselves to go. Because we used to play 2 time zones away, and we would go as early as we could. I mean, I think in NCAA there are rules about that, how early you can go. So I'm just curious. I wonder how long they had to get acclimated.
I think that this is going to be. We've talked about how the schedules are a little kooky this year. And I'm thinking about like, how does PVF set up schedules for these players so that they can be successful? And I think when you're flying coach, maybe we can ask for a little bit of logic in the way that they're scheduling these travel trips.
Well, I mean, in a few minutes, we will talk about like Columbus and Vegas did their home and home with a day off in between.
The swappy.
I mean, at a certain point, I think it's part of it.
Be careful. Be thoughtful is what I ask the PVF. All right. Saturday's match, Columbus at Vegas.
Yeah,
the first of the swappy.
Yeah, of the old home and home. Columbus in Vegas for their second win of the week. They won 2 close sets and then stretched it out a little in the third, but it was a 3-set sweep. They won 26-24 in the first set, 25-23 in the second, and then 25-20 in the third.
This was my YouTube chat debut.
Oh, nice. Kelly. We were both in there. We had to put our initial at the end.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. This game, though.
I mean, the first one was incredibly close. This is the same. Another one of the of a Vegas loss. This one in 3 sets. They still didn't feel like they played very poorly or anything. The first set, I mean, I think the first set was 15-15. You know, they lost it 26-24. The second set was 15-15. They lost it by 2. And then the third set, it kind of got out of hand. And they lost by 5. But the first 2 could have gone either way.
I feel like an observation, it's like they have a hard time finishing the point. Like you go on for these rallies and it's just like they'll miss something that you're like, oh, it's so frustrating.
You think they need to practice long rallies? You think they need to practice putting the ball away?
Probably,
yes.
I don't know.
I just feel like when we look at, that's interesting because when we look at stats, I'm like, what even was it?
I know. Yeah.
Hitting percentage is so similar. Blocking is so similar. They didn't pass as
those
well.
First 2 sets, a 2-point set might as well just be a tie. Statistically, it's basically going to come out as a wash. And then that third set, you know, they win by 5. It was close. It really was. And I think the sets or the percentages show that like there really is not a lot in it.
So something that you can't see from stats is when you miss a dig.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you
Mhm.
did anything wrong. It means that the other team did something right.
Yep. And Columbus had 46. Vegas had 40. The other thing is Columbus had 9 aces.
Yeah.
That's what stood out from
And
Columbus this week is they don't have service errors, really.
Ivania Ortiz is coming in as a serving specialist and getting it done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had 3 of the 9 aces.
She had the top spin. Yeah, that was fun
Jump
to
top.
watch.
Very cool. In this match, Hannah Maddox was back and hit great. The other outside hitter position wasn't as efficient. And this is where I think my hypothesis comes in with Vegas, is that it feels like every match there's one piece that's not firing on all cylinders. Just one of 10 pieces. And I don't mean players. I just mean like a position or a skill. So in this game, the other outside hitter position, so Hannah Maddox played the whole match, but then Kenna Sauer started and then Gabby Gonzalez came in. Kenna hit negative 170. Gabby hit 170. So the other outside hitter position together hit 0.
It's not
And
ideal.
it just feels like last match, Saskia Hippe was a little off or wasn't getting set and wasn't producing. This time it's the other outside position, which seems that can be a little up and down on who should be playing there. And they've tried a couple different things and they got aced a bunch, right? So like, I think that if we think about, okay, Vegas has so many great individual players that we've seen, and they came out making a splash in the beginning of their season. You know, why are they struggling, even though they have all these like individual weapons? It feels to me like one component is missing in each of these super tight matches, and you can't afford it, really.
Yeah.
We talked about last week, there are so many service errors that it seems like it's just kind of a wash in a lot of these games where they'll trade 13 errors to 11. But like you said, the Fury don't really do that. So you're giving up, they have 5 more aces than you and fewer errors. That seems like, you can't really get away with that.
All right. Sunday's match, Omaha at Orlando. This is their second meeting. First time Omaha took Orlando in 4.
Well, second time they also
And
took
the
them in 4.
second time they did it again.
Yep, they did do it again. 4 sets. We were all of us together at a bar watching this on the large screen. It was a nice, American sports experience. It felt like the real deal.
Everyone, call your local bars. Ask them if they will stream YouTube on their TVs.
They have the internet. Omaha in 4 sets. Kind of a weird feeling one. We were in the bar, like I said. Chris Chelios was getting his jersey retired in Chicago. There was a lot of emotions. But it also felt like another game where the Valks felt like they did not play super poorly, but they lost it in 4 sets. Omaha took the first 30-28. Then the Valkyries came back and won the second 17-25 before Omaha took the third 25-23. And then the final one, they won by 7, 25-18 to finish off the win. But the first 2 sets really felt like, obviously the second and the 25-17 set that Orlando won, they felt like they were the better team, but they also felt like they were playing better in the first set that they ended up losing.
I think if that first set would have gone Orlando's way, we would have been talking about a different outcome here. This is another statistical head scratcher for me. And I think probably what we're finding is that these teams are starting to get in their habits and in their grooves. And what I'm finding is that a lot of these teams can take each other super close. And there's a lot more parity in this league than we thought there would be. And ultimately, when the stats themselves are coming so close, the final set points are coming in so close, you just sort of don't have time to mess around in these matches. And you have to take opportunities when you've got set point a few times in a row. You really have to find a way to get it done. And you can't make the most unforced errors. It's very similar to what we were talking about with the last match. Just a handful of unforced errors will cost you a whole match.
Sure. Omaha hit 180.
Yeah.
And Orlando hit 270.
Yeah.
It's a head scratcher. They dug the same. Orlando blocked better for like ending points. Omaha had so many positive touches. So they just slowed down the ball off the block more, which typically the way that Jill and Adora and Kaz get it done, I felt like that slowed their momentum. If they're getting touches off the blocks more often, it sort of like makes the whole team go, oh shit, now what,
I mean, I think in games like these, it is more helpful to maybe look at stats on a set by set basis
To see
rather than
where.
overall. Yeah. Because you'll see that, like, in the fourth set, oh, yeah, that's why they won that set because Omaha hit 340, Orlando hit
Timely hitting.
120.
Yeah, certain
So,
things broke down.
Yeah. Whereas, like, in the set that Omaha lost, they hit 2%.
The streakiness of
To add that
volleyball.
to their
Yeah.
0% set that they had in their first game of the week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing in my mind. Is like, that seems kind of good to me. Like if Omaha's playing not at their best,
And they still win.
finding wins
Mhm.
against teams that we think are good.
Okay, last match, Monday, Vegas at Columbus.
Yeah, the back end of the home and home.
Yep.
Or what are you calling it?
Yep.
Swapsies?
Swappy.
Okay.
Swapsies.
Yeah, in Columbus, on the gray court.
Ugh, I hate the gray court.
It's pretty weird. The Brooklyn Nets have a gray court too.
And I don't like it there either.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Guys, wood is wood. Let's just make the wood wood. Anyways.
So yeah.
Anyways.
Columbus. They win their third game of the week on their beautiful gray home court.
Give us those scores, Ian.
Yeah, they won the first set 25-23. They shook off really their only bad section of the game to start the second set. Came all the way back, still lost the second set 22-25. They won the third 25-21, and then they won 25-23 in the fourth to finish.
The fourth was close. Vegas must just be feeling so sad.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work they've put in.
A lot of work to lose
wins.
3, you know?
Yeah.
They were so close.
So
and they played well this game.
Nikki, what was the thing that wasn't working, to go back to your theory, for them? It looks to me like it might be outside.
They missed 11 serves compared to Columbus only missing 3.
Yeah, the serve disparity really showed up in this game. 11 errors to 3 is a pretty big one.
I would say in this one, they had both middles firing. Saskia Hippie did not play quite as well as she has, nor did Gabby Gonzalez only hit 140. Saskia Hippie hit 160. The missed serves, let me just real quick. The total number of points of this match was Columbus 97, Vegas 92. 11 missed serves compared to 3. 11. That's it. A lot of these numbers against Orlando or Omaha's numbers the day prior would have beat them. Passing, blocking, and hitting. Vegas had 4 players with double-digit kills. They dug a lot. It just like, I feel the Vegas fans in that, like, it does not make a lot of sense to me. But it seems like now what we're finding, the scouting report is, you cannot miss serves against Columbus.
I think both Santos and Leon, they both stood out in pretty huge spots, finding big digs. For Columbus. Like, they seem really solid defensively.
I would agree with that. I think, we didn't talk about Asia O'Neal had a little bit of an ankle situation in, I think, the first match of the week. And then in the next 2 matches of the week, we had to tell, 42 people in the chat what happened to Asia O'Neal and why she was out.
It's like, it's almost, I'm like, should we be moderators and like pin the comment?
I would love to pin the comment. Oh, you know what's hysterical is that at the beginning of the this match, saw a chat come in. It said, Asia's resting ankle for Monday's game. Parentheses, grandmother. I think that source was grandmother. I think that source was Asia's grandmother.
I love that.
So you heard it here first. But I actually don't know if it was the ankle that she had surgery on, or the other one, if she was compensating, but she came off, I think, a slide, got the kill, I believe. And then sort of, you could see, it was a roll. She played the rest of the match, but then the second and the third match, Columbus was using the Caitlin Horde and Raynell Jones. That was the duo in the middle. And they hit very efficiently. And they block pretty dang well as well.
This is going back to our conversation about thrill and the hitting percentages, because we're like, why? I mean, so like Gabby and Saskia both hit under 200, weren't incredibly effective. They're next to each other in the lineup. So they're
Mhm.
together for 2 rotations. And if you can't find your hitter,
Yep.
not helpful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my observation. If we're asking ourselves why, that might be why.
So the idea here, Ian, a left, an L1, and a middle one, those 2 are going to be your left side and your middle blocker who are next to the setter, which means that when running a one setter offense, also called a 5-1, those players are in the front row with the setter for 2 rotations, each of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when the setter only has 2 options, they don't have a third option in the front row. You want ostensibly your stronger outside and your stronger middle, or at least your middle who can hit more slides behind, to be in that L1, M1 position. Are we seeing something in this league that's important to remember is that there's never just 2 hitter options. You also have back row attacking.
Right. Yeah.
And are we not seeing as much back row attacking from Vegas?
No, they set Hannah all the time in the back row.
In the back row, but that's your L1. So Gabby's not getting ready for the Bic as much. I feel like they set Saskia back there sometimes, but
yeah. I don't know.
It's a mystery right now.
Yeah, it's just a theory. They clearly it's like they can't really get out of those rotations, or they get out of them too quickly, or I don't know.
All right. Well, just to put a little bow on it, I think that it was a tough week for Vegas. It was a fascinating week for Columbus, just like taking the standings by storm.
Yeah.
Columbus
Exciting.
up now to 3rd place in the standings with a 3-game win streak. Vegas down to 6th.
It was definitely another Reagan Cooper game without Asia O'Neal. She had 21 kills and 15 digs in that one.
That is
I
something
wanted to
about
shout out Berkeley Oblad on the thrill. She was real good in that game, but they still went 0-3. So
in terms of standings, you know, Atlanta got to do nothing and fall out of and then back into the first place spot this week. So congratulations to Atlanta for doing nothing and reaping the benefits. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, y'all won a lot before.
And they're at home again on Thursday, so
And they're back at it.
See
Grand
if they
Rapids
use
down to
their
4th with the
break
one
well.
loss. Crazy. This league is something else. We just never know what's going to happen.
It's anyone's top 4 positions.
And it's anyone's mill. I do believe that. I don't think Atlanta is like a shoo-in necessarily.
No, I don't think so. I think last week we did say these are probably the top 4, right?
And then Columbus said
with
no.
just a nice 19 games left in the season.
I know.
That's how
there's so many. What a fun week of volleyball.
It was fun.
Indeed it was.
We can't guess our player of the week this week because the PVF undercut
Spoiled it
our
for us.
segment by
They
announcing
posted about
the
it.
award on time.
They got the votes in early, but I guess we can talk about it. I mean, we talked about her already. That's Reagan
Yeah.
Cooper.
Yeah.
Reagan
It was
Cooper.
Good
Good job. She killed it.
Team of the week.
Congrats, girly pop. You deserve it. So,
All right.
week 6 of volleyball matches. Thursday, Leap Day, February 29th. We have a doubleheader.
Extra day of the year, extra day to play volleyball.
Extra day to play all the volleyball. It'll be Omaha at Atlanta, and then after that, it'll be Vegas at San Diego. Friday, March 1st, Grand Rapids at Orlando, their first meeting. Saturday the 2nd, Atlanta at San Diego. Sunday the 3rd, Columbus at Orlando. They played each other on February 16th, Orlando 1-4. Monday the 4th, we have a double. They are at the exact same time. So pick your players. Atlanta at Vegas, their first meeting. Grand Rapids at San Diego again. Last time, San Diego beat them in 4 last week.
Wow.
Full week.
This past week, 1 week later.
All right.
So that's what we got going on next week.
Let's get after it, ladies.
Thank you so much for listening to Court Captains Volleyball Podcast. Please give us some stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you're hearing, support small podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Court Captains Pod, and email us your questions or comments at courtcaptainspod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to be the captain of your own court.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Do it. Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.